Now, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is on the first stop of his Levelling Up tour of the UK, which will see him in the northwest later this week. Well, today he's pledged to boost trade and business in Scotland by creating 2 green freeports north of the border. Now, freeports are sort of tax-free zones around docks, airports or railway hubs designed to boost economic growth by exempting goods arriving in them from tax and customs charges. It sounds technical, but it does boost growth. Now, James Bundy is a political commentator at the Freedom Declared Foundation, and he joins me now. James, in England and in Wales, we're getting free ports, but in Scotland, we're calling them green free ports. Is there any practical difference?
I don't think there is. I think it's an emphasis just on the net zero element of the free ports. In Scotland, we do have an SNP Green Coalition, so the environment is at the forefront of political thinking in Scotland. So this is clever branding by the Prime Minister and the UK government, but it's also going to bring economic benefits to these towns in Scotland that get the free ports. This was a Brexit promise, and the Prime Minister and the UK government is about to deliver it.
Now, the SNP has been pretty wary of pointing to Brexit successes. Is this a potential amelioration of the hostility between the Scottish government and the UK government, the fact that they could be working together now for the benefit of Scotland, the creation of these 2 new ports?
I would hope so, because jobs, economic boost should be something that both governments celebrate. But the priority of the SNP government is to cause division, stoke up grievance to try and boost their independence agenda. So anything that brings jobs, prosperity, the SNP will try and find a way to blame this as something that the Union is imposing on Scotland against Scotland's will. We know this is a lot of rubbish. This was a Brexit promise. It's going to deliver jobs, and the UK government is doing that. This is good news for Scotland and something that all of Scotland should be celebrating.
Some people might say that free ports might well bring jobs, but ultimately all they're doing is cutting regulation and cutting taxes, and that's going to reduce potentially tax receipts for the government. That might reduce standards as well. Is that a valid argument?
I think there's a spillover effect. So if there's economic prosperity in towns, then this spreads out, and if that spreads out, then tax receipts go up overall. So I think it's a short-sighted approach. I think we need to see how these free ports will benefit the whole economy. And the evidence with the economic boost and spillover shows that over time, tax receipts will increase.
Finally, Boris Johnson, of course, is seen as a bit of a divisive figure in Scotland. Is it a brave move for him to visit Scotland today to promote this new venture?
It is brave. I think if you're unpopular, you don't win people over by hiding. You win people over by engaging with them. And that's what the Prime Minister is doing in Scotland today. And he has a very positive message to sell in terms of achievements by the UK government. The furlough scheme during the pandemic was world leading. The vaccination procurement by the UK government was world leading. And the Levelling Up agenda is something that will see the UK government directly investing in communities throughout Scotland for the first time since 1997. So my hometown of Falkirk, we're getting £20 million direct investment from the UK government to build a magic roundabout. It might seem small, but this is going to improve the daily lives of people in my hometown, and the UK government is doing this throughout Scotland. So this is very positive to sell, and the Prime Minister should be up here selling it.
It's interesting. There seems to be this twin-pronged approach of the Levelling Up agenda. On the one hand, tax cuts in places like free ports that will boost growth. But on the other hand, a bit of a redistributive agenda, potentially a more left-wing agenda of investing in communities directly. It will be interesting to see how that all plays out. Of course, Scotland, the first stop on that Levelling Up tour that will go across the rest of the UK throughout this week. James Bundy there, thank you very much for joining us, political commentator. Of course, really interesting to see that Levelling Up tour kicking off. Will it sink in? Who knows?